Rise and shine and don't forget your booties because it's cold out there today. Except it's cold out there every day because you found yourself living the same one over and over and over and over and over in our second annual Groundhog Day Special. Last year we did Run Lola Run. This time we're doing 2007's Los Crímenes with this probably the best title out of Spain ever. It's a really just almost flawless genre flick. This is a true time loop, not like what we got last year. And it's pretty fucking awesome. I'd buy this one for $1. I didn't say it the right way. I don't care. Welcome to Debts of Cinema. I'm Brian Gillis.
And I'm Steven Maltmanex.
Like most people, we love going to the theater and catching latest releases. However, you can sadly put a big dent in your wallet.
Fortunately, living in the digital age makes the viewing possibilities endless from the comforts of home.
Many of these films that you can see right from your couch, we're ashamed to say we missed, despite labeling ourselves cinephiles.
So join us as one or both of us cross off a title from our list of shame.
It can be an all-time essential classic,
or an underrated piece of cinema that's worth giving a shot.
Hell, it might just be some trashy film we want the other's opinion on. So sit tight and join us as we pay off our debts, $1 at a time. So you knew about this one, right?
Yeah. No, this is 10 years old now, isn't it?
Yeah, just about.
It was around the time I think Let the Right One In came out, and that was the year that people were just raving about these two foreign films that didn't get nominated for Best Foreign Film, and it was this one and that one, I think. But, you know, they were those big genre pieces that everyone on the internet was flipping out for, and they were just going like, you got to see it, get it on Netflix DVDs or something, because, you know, streaming wasn't a thing at that point, but people were talking about it.
I actually read what Slash Film did. They had like a piece. It was like the best time travel movies you've never seen, and this was one of them, and it was the one that really caught my eye. And especially at that time, it was actually streaming on Netflix, and I just for some reason never fucking watched it.
But it was probably the dub, wasn't it?
I don't know, probably.
I remember this.
At this
we were
time.
gonna do this last year. You made it a pick, but then I think we both checked quickly. Like it was on Amazon or something, and it was only the dub that was available. Yeah, and there was no other way to get it at that point.
Which is a shame because it's called Los Crímenes. It's not Timecrimes. You know, if the movie was actually called Timecrimes, which is a good name, like it rhymes, then yeah, the dub's cool. It'd probably be tongue in cheek. But no, this is a fucking dark movie. I want to hear it with, you know, authentic foreign track, the Spanish language. It makes sense. Everyone here is from Spain. It's an actual Spanish film.
It would have been way too distracting, I imagine. Like,
probably just laughing at it. Like, it was a fucking Shaw Brothers movie. But I didn't know anything about the director, Nacho Vigalondo. He's done a lot of stuff. Most notably, last year he directed that Colossal movie that everyone was talking about with Anne Hathaway. He worked on VHS Viral and also whatchamacallit, I think ABC's of Death. So he did the first segment in that, actually. I think he did A for Apocalypse.
And this is what, one of his first?
Yeah, this is like his first feature. If you didn't catch it, he's actually the scientist in this too. He's the
technician?
He's the technician, yeah.
Wow.
So it looks like he's in everything besides Colossal. It makes sense because that's kind of like his big movie now. But he also did this thing called Open Windows, which is on Netflix that I've wanted to see. It's Sasha Grey and what's his name, Bilbo Baggins and
Martin Freeman.
No, not Bilbo. I mean the other one, his nephew.
Elijah Wood.
Yeah, it's Elijah Wood and Sasha Grey, and like the idea is like someone is basically being a peeping Tom through the internet while someone's getting hurt or something. I don't know. I want to see it. It's supposed to be like trashy. Maybe not a Jets of Cinema pick, but it's like, hey, Brendan, can I be on your show? Can we watch this thing? Or something like that. But what'd you think about this one? What'd you think of the Timecrimes?
You know, it's good. I mean,
it's good.
Like, yeah, I think that might be the best I got to say about it. I think, you know, for time travel movies, it's interesting when you got something like, hell, I don't know, Looper, Back to the Future. You know, movies where, in general, if you go back in time and
Run Lola Run,
Run Lola Run is more about possibilities, but it's kind of in the same vein.
It's been a year since that episode. That was our Groundhog's Day episode last year. This one is this year.
What I'm getting at, though, is like it's the idea that if you go back in time and one of your actions could permanently like shift the future that you're familiar with, like that to me is fascinating. But with this, you know, I guess just the idea of like time in general kind of just moving in one line, even if you can jump back into another spot of it, it's almost seems like everything is predetermined, and it's like it's a nice puzzle.
It's supposed to be.
it's fun to see how it's put together, but then at the end of the day, it's like, well, I don't know. There's just part of me that hates that idea because it makes it seem like, fate already has everything in store, like your actions already permanently written and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's definitely like, it's fascinating to see though how that gets put together. Like this is a really cool puzzle to see just like where all the pieces fit in, how everything fits, especially because it's all very simple, but it's very fascinating just how it turns out. And I really like the shift from like, okay, it's kind of has horror elements, but then they become funny later on because you realize what the actual context is of everything. And it's a fun watch, but then at the end of the day, it's like, well, it's very simple. I guess I felt like I wanted something more. Like my mind was just hungering for something far more complex, like a mind fuck or something. And well, this wasn't that, and it's not bad, but it's like, I guess that's probably expectations.
I think this is a mindfuck. Like, in comparison to most other time travel movies, I mean, this compares very favorably to both Primer and Groundhog Day. It's kind of like a mix between the two because you have the romance angle, but then it's a low budget. And so this is more like Groundhog Day in the way that it's a time loop. It's not time travel. I mean, yes, there's a time machine as, like, one of the plot devices, but it's just about this singular. It's almost a linear movie when you really get down to it.
No, that really is what it is.
And it just like following it. I mean, you get that thread, for instance, that there's a Hector 4, the first guy, who might not even be the first guy. It's just there's a person that was already doing it the whole time when you're doing it. So like there's an inciting incident. That's why you get Hector blaming the technician. He's like, it's all your fault. You got curious and you turned the machine on. If he wasn't working on the weekend, he didn't turn the machine on, no one would ever use the time machine.
What's crazy is how does this really start? Because this is where the conversation on time travel gets so convoluted. It's like, well, where's that meeting where
it was always supposed to happen?
Yeah,
just like in the same way, like Back to the Future. You brought that up. That was always supposed to happen. Marty
but he totally
always
changes
went
everything
back in time.
when he goes back to the 80s. Then he completely changes his own reality.
It's because that's like a more literal time machine movie, kind of like the H.G. Wells Time Machine, or shit, I don't know. Like those are the two big ones.
Yeah, but the H.G. Wells one though, that's oh wait, no, they use time travel to go back to the past. But even then though, that movie does deal with the fact that hey, even if you change something, fate is still going to step in and make it happen anyway. Kind of like
this is more of a time loop. Like Groundhog Day. This is a perfect Groundhog Day movie. Because out of all of the films like this or in the genre, it's the one that just compares most favorably in terms of how the time mechanism works. Because like some other time travel movies I really like, About Time, that Time Traveler's Wife is not good necessarily. But like that's a pretty interesting usage of it too. Like let's make it just like in About Time. Like what if it was like a disease or a disorder instead of a mechanism?
Well, About Time, it's not a disease, it's a gift.
Well, it's a gift. Well, I'm saying in Time Traveler's Wife, it's like a disease.
He's got no control over it, right?
Yeah, Eric Bana like just randomly time travels.
I keep wanting to see that, but I know it's probably not good.
It's very dramatic.
That idea sounds so awesome, but then at the same time, it sounds like it's going to be so just
not bad.
Cheesily like melodramatic,
yeah, it is.
like a Lifetime movie or something.
It's like those movies are shared too because the love interest is the same in both. It's like, oh yeah, I always saw The Notebook.
Someone has a list on Letterboxd, I think, where Rachel McAdams
time travels.
No, she they include Doctor Strange in that list. It's like if she's dating somebody who can travel through time. It's like
Doctor Strange, that does time loops too, but not really. Like, and there's no.
But for that list though, it's a funny connection.
It totally fits the list. I'm just saying in terms of time loops, like
it's not a time travel movie. It's just a device for that movie.
And it's a device here too. It's just the whole film is about that device, and the fact that they were able. I don't know the budget on this, but it had to be less than $10 million. There's nothing.
They're
here.
really in one location for the most part.
It's like one location. It's all natural. I mean, maybe there was a set for like the scientific laboratory, but other than that, like. Man, like there's something about this movie too, because it's in the title. It's Timecrimes, like time travel in and of itself, or the time loop, or just the mechanism is what kind of gets you hooked. But then you get the poster with the wrapped bandage guy with the scissors, and when you think about that, and especially how that character is portrayed, not in terms of just like the opening incident where you have like the original Hector in terms of what we see. Who is this guy? I gotta find him. Oh, I got stabbed like this. But and so it almost seems like a slasher movie.
Yeah.
But then when the timeline catches up to him and you realize, oh no, this is the guy and he's doing these things because of this.
I love that moment of realization where he just looks in the mirror as he's putting the bandage on,
Right.
and then it's just like he knows exactly what it is that he has to do, and he knows exactly what his actions have to be, and he kind of makes peace with it after a certain point, just where it actually kind of becomes chilling because he sort of acts like just an actual serial killer at that point.
Yeah.
Like it just is so easy for him, and it's kind of creepy how he's sort of forced into this situation where he has to become a monster.
Well, there's I don't know if you caught it, but when he's taking that bandage off his arm, put it on his face, it's dripping onto the seat, and I got this
Yeah.
it's maybe
I
the
wasn't
chemicals
sure what
in that are
effect it
messing
was
with
trying
his
to create
head.
there, but
That's what it seemed like. It seemed to me oh yeah, his head is getting fucked with now because of these chemicals. He has a gash in his forehead.
That's
Literally, these chemicals are going into his body. So I don't know. But what I really liked about that whole just bandage idea, and just because I'd seen that image before I saw it, I knew that there was some guy with scissors involved in this in some way, is how it's almost like a deconstruction of the slasher genre. You have this person from outward appearances, especially the first time you meet him, seems like he's chasing this guy, he's trying to kill him, he's doing this, and then a little later on, when he's chasing the girl through the house, and then he, kills her, and you're like, wow, this is straight up like a horror film, except it's not. It never feels scary because you're in on it.
It kind of becomes funny after a certain point, just because you know who the monster is, and then
you just feel bad for him.
Shots where right when he does that peekaboo thing 3 times, and he keeps on trying because he's okay, yeah, I keep doing that, and then he starts realizing what exactly it is that he does. It just becomes really funny, even when he's going up to stab himself, and just how that shot works, and then watching Hector run away and trip and fall, just because it seems so inconsequential at that moment because you're no longer with him experiencing that. It's funny, even I'm not going to lie, I actually did go back after I watched this movie and sort of rewatched some of these scenes in context.
Is the hand actually on that stack of computers?
It is, yeah.
Is it?
They
Nice.
all fit together. Yeah, it's just, it doesn't dwell on it, the shot obviously, but
yeah.
Rewatching the Hector 1 segment, it's really funny just seeing how the tension is built up with the technician on the radio saying, I can see the cameras, he's running up to you, go now, and you just know that he's full of shit.
Yeah,
even when Hector 2 just pops up on the window doing peekaboo that one time, I love how he's just sitting outside waiting for it to all be done. He's just like, all right, yeah, I did what I had to do, and that's it.
Talking about the binoculars though, when you get that, when Hector 1 is hiding behind that tree and he turns around and he sees Hector 2 making the hands, that was spooky. That was a great image. And then, yeah, just to get
it's just awesome how it subverts the scare by turning it into a laugh.
To revert that jump scare almost is just, it's so brilliant. It makes sense to me why this director does, he's done horror stuff. I'm really curious what he does in VHS and ABC's of Death.
It's awesome though, how just for that Hector 1 segment, how really none of it makes sense when you think about it. Just when you're watching and you're just like, why the fuck would this killer turn around and put his eyes doing peekaboo in a cheesy way? But it's very effective. And then you get to the technician going, oh yeah, just get in here and hide in here, and something is wrong the first time you're watching it, but you still fall for it, and he obviously falls for it. But it's funny how even you as a viewer, at least I was, I totally felt manipulated into it. I was laughing when I went back to that scene where he's running up at the hill with the lights and everything, but the way it plays out, there's definitely tension there because you've seen what the threat is at that point, even if you don't know who it is. And when you hear stuff oh, he's in the house, he's behind you, you totally believe everything, even though none of it is there to prove it.
You open the episode saying, this is just okay, that it could have been better. I disagree.
Not better, it's just, I think really that might be my expectations, and it's just I find time travel more fascinating when you create more realities in there. I think just fundamentally I just hate the idea of fate having control over everything, which is it's about not something
fate.
That makes this movie bad.
It's not just fate, it's a temporal paradox. Since this is a time loop movie, not time travel, because the traveling itself only is an hour, and then when you really get into it, it's actually 30 seconds. you can't do something convoluted. It wouldn't make sense. Your brain wouldn't be able to wrap your head around it in kind of the way like Upstream Color or Primer does. Like Shane Carruth, I'm sure he's a really talented filmmaker. I'm curious what his next thing is.
It's the one where he's shooting it on the ocean with
it's
some blockbuster that we know a lot of people are on, right?
I'm sure he's already done filming it at this point, with the turnaround that he has on his other 2 projects. But Primer, I've only seen it once, but that's the kind of movie where you're like, what did I just watch?
Yeah, you got to watch that more than once because it doesn't sink in right away.
Did I make sense out of it? Yeah, I think so. Whereas this is like just a really smart concept that's done really well, and it makes sense to you. In Groundhog Day, as much as I love that movie, you never really get a reason for why Bill Murray is stuck in that loop.
Because he's an asshole and he needs to change.
No.
Really, like,
from a
it's more about
story
the
standpoint,
from
a story standpoint, it makes sense. He's a shitty person, brings to this town. He can only get out of this time loop when he literally does everything perfect and he fixes everyone. He saves this kid from a tree and he gets these people married and he plays piano at this party and he does everything. He's the best person on the planet now because he's been in hell forever. I love the concept, but in terms of how the time mechanism works, is it God fucking punishing him? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it makes sense in the Ivan Reitman way where it's like, oh, it's one of my movies, this is what I fucking made.
Well, that was Harold Ramis, but
I always fucking mess that up. It's so, like, every time I swear
did Ivan Reitman produce it, or
he definitely produced it,
or
he had to
write
have.
it? I don't know, but
it's just how many of Bill Murray movies did he direct, and of that
Ghostbusters,
a lot of them.
Ghostbusters 2.
I
don't know what else he did. I know him more for doing his stuff with Arnold, to be honest.
Anyway, but there's no reason for it. Whereas this, even if it's very surface level, it's like, oh, there's this tank of this liquid. There's this facility right by your house. It's a time machine. Get in.
Well, it's a puzzle, and it's fun to see how it plays out.
But it's not a MacGuffin. Like, there's an actual... Like, it doesn't go into the hard science of it. It doesn't matter. Like, that's not necessary. It's time travel. It's like a fictional thing. Like, it's something that we wish was real. But it doesn't matter. But at least you have the vehicle. Literally. You have a DeLorean. Like, it makes sense. It's clear-cut. You can watch this once and you totally get it. Like, you might have some questions still, such as, why did the loop begin in the first place? Like, how is it that Hector 1, the original Hector... there was already 2 other versions of him doing things before he even got in the machine. Like,
well, there is also one thing that makes me question if this is a loop, because there is one inconsistency that I found. And that was the necklace. Which, you see the girl wearing it the first time, and I even went back to look at it, and then the second time,
it's on
you
the
just
bushes.
see it hanging on the twig, and then I tried looking at the shots to see, well, maybe it's there, maybe it's obscured by the hair. I'm not sure.
I don't think she's wearing it after that, though.
Well, it didn't fit after that. Like,
well,
I don't know. So, like, is it really the same timeline, or did he create a new one, and then there's some differences? I don't know, because everything else fits except for that thing, and it was driving me nuts.
I think it's just one of those things you don't see her all the time. Like, the more of the movie you watch, the more screen time you get of her.
But she's not wearing any clothes at that point when she's laying down, and it's very clear in the first Hector 1 scene. So then when you go back to that shot, it's not like a close-up or anything, but you would at least be able to easily make it out. And I don't know, I couldn't see it, so...
Oh. I don't know if that was a flub.
Frustrating.
Like, it was probably intentional.
It might be a flub.
Maybe to make you think about it in the same way that you are right now.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, you're making a time travel movie. People are gonna look for these threads no matter what to see if things sync up. So
it's like, what did Hector 4 do? Is there a Hector 4, or is it just Hector 3? Like, like,
where are you getting Hector 4 out of it? Because I'm taking it at face value that there were only 3.
Well, the reason I'm saying 4 is every time you watch it, there's already the person before him. And the loop ends. They have their happily ever after where they're sitting on their seats, looking out their fucking grass and waiting for the ambulance to come. But I don't know. There's just something. For instance,
you just got to find out how that trunk opened at the beginning.
More like the technician wasn't gonna quit that day. He was gonna keep on fucking with things. Like,
oh, he got fired. He totally got fired. The fence was destroyed at that place, remember? Because he crashed
that
into
is
it. So
true.
he got fired.
He got fired.
Like, there's no fucking way he could... Well, then again, there's no cameras there, so he could be like, well, I don't know who was here, Sure.
Like, I hope there's only 3, because there's not exactly a happy ending here, because it's so fucked up. But in terms of what Hector went through over this one day that was actually 3 days for him... he deserved what he got.
Or 3 hours. I don't know.
No, it was full days, man. Like, especially Hector 3, when he got in that car accident and he was unconscious, he was there like all
Again,
day.
yeah, he slept throughout the entire day. It's funny though how
he got like he got at least 2 concussions in this story.
it's funny how Hector hurts himself so many times in this. Like,
Yeah, intentionally too.
in
Like
fact,
literally hurts
just
himself.
Hector, I think, is a shitty driver in general because he gets into 2 car accidents. By crashing into himself, and then even the movie starts with
him being a shitty driver,
opening up. Yeah, and it's just like, how does that happen? He just sucks at driving,
well,
man.
there's
I
that
think
line of
that's kinda
dialogue
funny,
too
though.
when his wife is like, "Well, if the table fits, I'll go," and he's like, "I'm not driving again." And so it's pretty apparent that he does not enjoy driving. Maybe that was
that might be. I don't know, but it's funny though. Just the idea of someone pushing themselves into a car accident and then they themselves also get into a similar accident, just albeit like a few yards apart. Like, it's just so absurd that you can't help but laugh at that a little.
I'm not gonna say I love this movie, but yeah, I kind of love this movie. I inherently am just have a boner for time travel concepts. Like, I have a list I made on Letterboxd of like every time loop time travel whatever movie I could come up with. Like, I did research for like days making this list. Like, as far as I'm concerned, well, I have to update it probably, but it's like the most just fucking complete time travel list on the internet, and this was a good one on there. Like, for every
Absolutely.
Back to the Future Part 2, there's a fucking clock stoppers, okay? Like, not... Like, time travel in and of itself doesn't make for a good story. And I think this one does it really well. Like, Somewhere in Time, I know you saw that recently.
Oh yeah.
Not a good time travel movie.
No.
Like, not a bad movie.
Can you
but
will yourself to travel through time? I mean,
It's Richard Matheson.
I call that lucid dreaming. That's more of what that is. But
it's Richard Matheson. You know, I'm not going to shit on him. He's a great scientific mind when it comes to sci-fi.
Well, I don't. Who knows what the story is like? Did he write that script, or
no? He wrote a novel that they adapted. I don't know if he wrote it too, but I would have to assume it's like the same exact concept. But this one it's really smart. Like, it doesn't think it's smarter than you. It doesn't try to trick you. You're in on everything. You just get it.
It's very simple and straightforward. And
it's hand
really
fed.
Fun seeing how it fits together.
This is one of those movies where you feel really smart watching it. You know, like, they have the Back to the Future Part 2 explanation with the calendar. And then there's like just like these recurring themes too that happen. That drawing, it, for instance, that S with the X's, that is on the key card to get out of the gate. That apparently is like in the blank space on the girl's t-shirt. Her t-shirt is like a metaphor, not a metaphor, but it's like symbolic of like Schrodinger's cat. Are you familiar with that scientific principle?
I'm familiar with the name. It's escaping me right now. What does it mean again?
It's like a philosophical experiment. Basically, there's a scientist. He puts a cat in a box. His name's Schrodinger, so it's Schrodinger's cat. He puts the cat in the box. No holes, no food, nothing. He leaves it in there for 3 days. The argument is the cat is both alive and dead until you open the box. But as soon as you open the box, it's dead, for sure. Unless it's alive. You, in the action of opening the box, killed the cat. Which is kind of like a loose metaphor for this film, or like a theme for it, in terms of the time machine itself. Like, if the technician didn't open it to begin with, no one would ever came out of it. If he just left it closed. If the weekend was a weekend and no one was working there. And I think that's kind of where he was inspired. He probably was like thinking about Schrodinger's cat and was like, why hasn't anyone ever done this like with a time machine? Or, I mean, maybe Primer kind of does it too, because in the way that time machine is, like, it's a literal storage box. Who's using the? Did you use it? I don't know when the next time I'm gonna see that. I did not enjoy it.
Primer.
Yeah, I think maybe it was the way it was shot. Like, it was just a little too gritty, too many grays and whites. Like,
that whole movie is a mouthful to absorb. Like, just you almost have to read subtitles while you're watching it because there's so much scientific terminology that's being thrown at your face that you're just kind of like,
mathematical.
This is
too.
It's not like Donnie Darko or you know, Richard Kelly writing anything to like freak you out or anything.
Southland
it's like, no,
Tales.
it's that multiplied by 10. Primer is a lot to absorb.
When you think about it too, Donnie Darko is a pretty fucking weird time travel movie too.
Oh yeah,
Like,
but I think it's at least entertaining in its
it's funny and it's a great period piece and there's really good music and it, like especially the head over heels montage that happens at school and that one well mostly single shot is just
Donnie
choreographed
Darko
so
you
well.
probably
and
won't understand, but you'll at least be entertained by a large part of it. Whereas
Patrick
Primer, it's
Swayze,
just
the
like,
cast.
yeah, that's a lot to take in.
The more I think about this one, I'm not exactly upset that it took me so long to watch it because fucking 10 years isn't
No,
that
hey,
many.
hey, we watched it. That's what
Exactly,
we have the show for.
we
I'm glad
watched
I
it.
saw it. It's good.
Yeah, like 10 years isn't too many, especially because this is still something that is under the radar. A lot of people haven't seen this. I ran off some of the stuff that Nacho's also done, but like Colossal, I doubt many people that have seen Colossal. Well, actually, no one's seen Colossal. So yeah, everyone that's seen that is familiar with his body of work. But when that hits theaters or when it hits streaming or whenever, people aren't going to know. And I think that's when, we're going to get hits for this episode because people are like, what's Timecrimes? What is that? And I'd be like, oh, it's a really fucking good time travel movie. You should check it out. And I'd buy that for $1. Yeah,
maybe I started this off on the wrong foot because I don't necessarily mean okay, but maybe underwhelmed because I wanted more of a mindfuck. And what I got was something that was very simple and straightforward.
No,
but that's not bad. Like it's definitely not boring, and I will definitely recommend it to people when I talk to them. If time travel movies are brought up in conversation, I'll say, hey, have you seen Timecrimes? That's a really good one. You should check it out. And you love the 90-minute runtime. And this is like a perfect one of those in that it's a quick 90 minutes and you get everything, and
it
then
has to
that's
be 90
it, you're
minutes.
done. Yeah,
It can't linger. Like
the
runtime.
like this and Run Lola Run, they move really fast.
Well, Run Lola Run moves really fucking fast.
That's one of the fastest paced movies I've ever seen.
That I would say it almost moves too fast. Like you kind of have to catch your breath in a couple of moments. And that one is, I mean, you guys can listen to us talk about that. It's literally 52 episodes before this one, I think.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think this is a solid mindfuck. I mean, it's not gonna keep you thinking about it like, huh, wait, that's not explained. Let me really. But while you're going through it, you're like, oh, well, fuck. Like, especially when you, like, because you really think his wife is dead. You feel bad for him. You're like, he fucking killed his wife. You understand why he has to go through the time machine again. He's like, I gotta fix that. I need to.
Which, just poor haircutting girl on a
Right,
bike. She gets
that's what I'm
the
saying.
worst of it. Like, I'm sure that there might be essays of this where they just look at Hector's evolution as a character, and then really, like, if you think about it, this is like almost an allegory for abuse in some way to one woman, and then in order to get his marriage and get his life back together, he has to force her out of the way to the extreme. It's
I read this thing that it could actually be kind of a commentary on having an affair or seduction.
Yeah,
in terms of who that girl is and the role she plays. Why is he taking her clothes off? Why is he looking at her with binoculars? Like,
he literally objectifies her the whole time.
He
like,
just
she
had
just
sex,
serves
man. That's what's crazy.
It could serve as an allegory for that. Absolutely.
He was in his house. It's assumed that his wife either sucked him off or fucked him or something. After he gets his nap, and he's sitting there and he's still not satisfied. He's like, oh, what's this I mean, any person, I don't care if you're even in a super happy marriage, you just got married, if you're just randomly looking through binoculars and you see like a girl with perky tits like really close by your house, you're gonna look through the binoculars for a little bit. But it's like really weird when you decide, well, let me my wife's gone, let me go through the wilderness and let me see what that is about. And the fact that Hector too knew to use the girl to make him look there. He knew that he wanted to do that, basically. That the older him, or the younger him, rather, would be attracted to that.
He knew exactly what he would fall for.
Yeah. It's like,
I don't know, like, for that, when it comes to Hector 2, I saw it more as desperation to just get back to where he was, rather, and he just knew exactly what it is that he had to do.
It's almost surprising,
and it makes sense that he remembers that in detail because he knows exactly what he's into at that point.
It's really surprising that Hector 1 doesn't have sex with her when she's unconscious, to be honest. Like, you leave your house because you see this girl taking her shirt off.
Is Hector 1 that deplorable, you think?
Not deplorable,
really,
just I'm saying, like, think about it. You left your house.
Like, just deplorable, like, fundamentally as a person, and that's just when he becomes Hector 2 that he realizes all the awful shit he has to do because he's got to get back to where he is.
I think
like,
anyone in Hector
yeah.
2 situation, especially Hector 3 situation, you're gonna do just about anything to try to right your wrongs. But I'm just saying, you're sitting in your chair, your wife's gone, you're looking at this girl, you're peeping Tom, she takes her top off, you run into the woods to go find her, you find her, she's fucking knocked out unconscious, naked. He throws the sticks at her. If Hector 2 didn't stab him with the scissors, he totally would have had sex. It's undoubtable. Like, maybe the reason he stabs him with the scissors is to prevent that from happening. Or maybe to turn people off from the movie. Like, if you have...
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, like, if he did that, that would be insane. Like,
yeah,
especially, like, you know, he saw her breathing at the moment right before he was stabbed.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe I would like to think that he was throwing the sticks just, like, as a general polite gesture, where if she was able to wake up, he would turn his back right away and just be like, hey, you know, I found you here, because it's an awkward as fuck situation to be in. Like, if someone happens to be alive and then they wake up and then there isn't the killer there to stab you in the back.
It's so sad how much he takes advantage of her in every situation, and
Oh
it
my
totally
God,
works
yeah.
as just, like...
That's
yeah,
all her purposes in this narrative,
like,
is just...
being the person that you have an affair with, basically. It's
Yeah.
like, I love my wife, but you're fun. I love having a good time with you. You know,
And
it's
like
kind
right
of
when
like...
you want to end the little fling, he literally just fucking kills her, and it's just...
Yeah.
It's so fucked up.
Because
If you think about it as like a parable for that, then yeah, absolutely. But
every step of the way, she's so nice too. Like,
yeah,
oh, you got hurt, let me help you. Like, Hector 1, great experience. Oh, I got to see you fucking naked and you have great tits. Hector 2, oh, you're injured, let me help you. Like, let me wrap your head, let me cut that.
yeah, she doesn't do anything wrong whatsoever.
Hector
Like-
3, straight up, like, oh, like, are you okay? Like, did you get... Oh, just sit with me. You know, like, they have that moment when he gets out of the truck and they're, like, sitting up against the wall. Oh, he won't find us here. Don't worry. And then even worser yet when they're in the house and his wife is safe downstairs in the shed and he's just talking to her. He cuts her hair. Like, oh, you're so beautiful. And you can see in his eyes, he's like, I feel bad for what's about to happen. But technically, I don't do it. Hector 2 does it. So... I'm not technically guilty.
It is a chilling ending because he kind of becomes a monster, and I don't know. I don't want to say sympathetically so, maybe, but it's like he can't control it because he literally...
He physically becomes a monster. Every step of the way, he gets more and more damage, not just as a physical person, but as a human being. It starts with him getting stabbed in the arm, then I guess you could say drowning, and then, just his head getting busted open, and then his face really getting destroyed, his body getting mangled, to the point where his wife doesn't even, like, recognize him.
Yet, it's weird because, I don't know about you, but there is also this, like, really, this feeling of a somewhat happy ending, where at the end,
It is a
he's
happy
just sitting
ending.
there. Yeah, he's sitting there, and it's like, it's a return to normality. You know, he's just sitting there.
The loop ended.
Just appreciating the fact that he has his lawn, that he's there with his wife, that, he's about to enjoy the storm. He's just appreciating normality at that point because everything that happened was so chaotic. And it's like, it's a strange mix of just something so fucking chilling and messed up, and yet just this really good sense of finality and that everything's going to be okay. And it's really weird how that mixes.
You just feel for him, though. Like, say if you run with this as, a commentary on adultery, then the affair is over, literally. She's fucking dead, okay?
Yeah.
If you just look at this as a time travel movie, the loop is over. Like, the timeline's gone back to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, your life is now back to normal.
Yeah, you are the only Hector now. His wife is alive. The ambulance is already coming. He didn't do anything wrong.
And they get to enjoy the rest of their retirement.
I would assume...
Because that's presumably what is...
maybe they're retired.
That's what I thought it was. I mean, they have a nice house just in the countryside.
They're making a nice house. Like,
they just moved in. It's clear. They're setting up furniture. There's still boxes being unpacked. But yeah, like, I don't know what age Hector is, but it seemed like
he's like
he
50.
might be retired at that point.
Yeah, he's probably like his wife
had a successful enough life.
His wife looked a little younger, but yeah, he seemed like he was like 50 or so. Something that I did see that I don't know, maybe I'd have to rewatch to catch. It seemed like in one scene when you see Hector 2's hands that he used to have a wedding band and now he doesn't. Like there was a whatchamacallit, there was an indentation on his finger. So maybe things do change.
I didn't see that.
Like maybe the Hector that we follow isn't always the same Hector. Like maybe that explains like yeah, like the necklace in the bushes or like any number of things that don't exactly add up. Like
for a second I thought it was the phone, because there's that moment where Hector 2 goes back to the house and he sees that the phone isn't on the receiver,
yeah,
and
he
he
rips
knows
it
that
out
he
of the
put it
wall.
there. But then later you see Hector 3 facing his wife, and she's got the phone in her hand because
Yeah,
she's
like,
called the police.
She has
at
called
that
the
point.
cops. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the pieces just fit well, really well together. For the fact that this is a first feature film, that this is written directed by the same person, and that he stars in it, that just the kind of ability that takes as a filmmaker is really remarkable, and it's not surprising to me why he's gone on to do other things. I was curious about Colossal. I really want to see it now. Like in terms of VHS Viral and ABCs of Death, maybe Halloween. I know ABCs of Death is a fucking long movie, like 2.5 hours, like 26 short films. I don't know if I can make it through that. Like curious about some of the segments, but I don't know. But yeah, I want to see Colossal. I want to see what else this guy does. It seems like he really understands genre filmmaking, and just taking an established idea and kind of subverting it in ways that you normally wouldn't come up with. Like I said, this is equally, in my opinion, as much of a slasher film as it is a time travel movie, as much as like a relationship drama as it is that too. It uses what you know about time travel, and just that's how it attracts you, and yet it throws so many other things at you that you can really think about and sink your teeth into, and that's why I'm buying it. Like I really I just thought it was really smart filmmaking. Like I know, well, not that I know, but I don't think I could write a screenplay that is tied together as nicely as this one is. That it never leaves you wondering like what the fuck happened, how'd we get here? Like no, like it all comes together really, really, really well.
I'll tell you what, I will buy this for $1 just because I'm thinking about it now. But if I did see this 10 years ago, and I could have, because I remember it was playing at the indie theater by my house that I always used to go to, but I just never saw it. I can guarantee you, I probably would have flipped for this.
You would have been blown away, yeah.
Yeah, because like I was really into discovering just independent cinema at that point, and this would have been something new that I would have just lost it for. And even watching it now, it's weird thinking of how I would have definitely loved something then, and now I'm just kind of like, you know what, I really liked it. I don't think it's by any means amazing, but I sure as hell appreciate it. It's very tightly constructed. It's very simple and straightforward, and it almost sounded like a knock the way that I'm saying it, but you know what, it's very hard for most movies now, it seems like, to be able to pull that off and to keep an audience engaged at the same time and never lose that momentum within 90 minutes, because it feels very big and expansive, and it feels like there's always a lot that's happening, even though every answer is very simple and not illogical or anything. And it's just, it all really, for the most part, makes sense, unless you want to find a few nitpicks in there. But I can guarantee you, though, like as far as time travel movies, because people just love to talk about them. You know, I think it's a concept that, not just for sci-fi fans or geeks or anything, but
No, everyone wants a time machine. Everyone's made a mistake in their life.
Just loves that idea, but they also love movies about it. You know, Back to the Future, that's probably the holy grail of time travel movies.
Superman won.
No, come on. I mean, that bullshit ending too.
Oh yeah.
Do you know how that was supposed to end, by the way? Like, have you ever seen the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2?
No.
The Richard Donner cut ends that exact same way.
No, it doesn't.
No, it does. And the ending in
Fucking
Superman
lame.
1... The ending in Superman 1 was supposed to be the ending for Superman 2, but then Donner got kicked off on the movie. So that's really even more retarded, that you have two movies, and then in your second movie you go back to retcon the entire fucking two movies that you made. Like, that's crazy. But anyway...
I'd love to see a Batman movie with time travel. Someday.
Maybe Batman Beyond, they could do that, you know?
No, that's not.
I
that's
still
not
would
time
love.
Travel.
I would love
Like,
for them to get to a Batman Beyond movie at some point.
That's a possibility, but Batman Beyond.
That's the point where I think I'll really be on board with it.
It's really important to note that Terry McGinnis is supposed to be either Bruce Wayne's son or biological clone. That is important in the Batman Beyond mythos, and so seeing that as a time travel movie wouldn't make sense. It would just have to be like a weird movie that is just in the franchise.
Then yeah, I think the DCU can also make it its own at that point and
Maybe.
introduce interesting ideas. But anyways, as far as time travel movies though, yeah, like there's just something where culturally we do have a hunger for them every once in a while when they come out, and when they're talked about just as far as what are the best ones or the ones worth checking out, there is no way that this is not going to come up. So
It's like a lot of people throw in Prisoner of Azkaban. I mean, that is a
this
time
is
travel
totally
movie.
like that.
It is a time
Absolutely.
travel movie.
I mean, because it's all one loop really, and it's just someone going back to make sure that these sequences of events happen because they have to. It's totally like that.
Even though I stopped reading the Harry Potter series, when I got to the third book, when it was revealed that Hermione had the time turner or whatever, oh man, like I couldn't stop reading. That's when the book got good. For one thing, you got a chapter where she was the fucking narrator, or not narrator, but she was the focal point, which was interesting because I don't think that happened yet in the franchise. But yeah, no, just time travel, just everything about it. Even in comics, like you look at something like Watchmen or shoot, I don't know, that's like the big one that I can come up with right now. Sex Criminals is kind of not necessarily time travel, but time manipulation. It's just, yeah, in any medium it exists. Like I'm trying to think right now, I don't know if time travel's ever been implemented well in a video game outside of like, like there's like Back to the Future games, but they're bad.
I can't even answer that. Like I know there's video games that play with narrative structure and
Nope.
but that's more like jumping into
Titanfall 2 this
flashbacks.
year. Titanfall 2 used time travel really, really well. It does it for one chapter. It lasts at most 20 minutes, but it's
Would
done
you count
fucking.
Assassin's Creed to some extent?
No, that's a.
Sorta.
Nah.
Not really. I don't know.
Nah. Like, because that's just
Kinda, but not really.
It's a framing story, and from what
Yeah.
I've heard, the further into the franchise, that structure dies, literally. Like, they kill Desmond. So, like, I'm not sure that counts. Besides Titanfall 2 and, like, Back to the Future Lego Dimensions, there has to be, like, a video game that is acclaimed, I would hope. Oh, Time Splitters. That's a big franchise from the PS2 days. It's a first-person shooter where you use time travel. I think the Ratchet and Clank games on PS3, there's some time travel also. But like as an actual tool, I don't know. Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure. If you like this show and you want to hear more of our wonderful voices on a weekly basis, check out 2 Cents. I'll recap what's happened in film, TV, and tech news.
We're also on the titular Dollar Review Show, a spoiler-free critique of new releases or anything we've discovered on our own, whether that be TV, music, etc.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
And we're also on Google Play Music, iTunes, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, just about anywhere on the internet with hours of content available to you for free. But for those of you that feel that the show is worth your dollar, you can send us a donation at patreon.com/dollarreviews. Contributions not only earn our undying love, but they also make it possible for us to improve our recording equipment and to give you the highest quality episodes possible. But more importantly, they'd be helping us acquire the content to review. You know, trips to the multiplex are expensive, and the more donations we receive, the more films we can review for your listening pleasure.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Debt to Cinema request, or if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BRYONGILLIS, and now you know how to spell the email too, and also under the same name on the lovely site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films that I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch, and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.